Greetings! Today I'm going to be covering all of the new things that have been put in the game for Abiotic Factor 1.4, aka the anniversary update. Any smaller changes such as bug fixes I will not be covering, however I will link in the description the wiki entry with all the changes, so you can look through if you want to see in more detail the changes that have been added to the game. I'm going to try and cover all of the big changes, especially items and pets, and I'll speak a little bit about what they do and how to get them if it's not obvious straight away. If I do miss anything out, please let me know, and without further ado, let's get going. Digital garden plots. These are basically used as a new form of garden plot, except in this case it's doing it digitally, as the name suggests. You need to create cartridges at your workbench, and these cartridges can grow specific items, namely pets, which are Lamogi, which are now new pets that are in the game, as well as royal peppers, which are a new food item, as well as all the ammunition types as well. These can be fertilized using black gunk, and I think you can also use the reservoir growth that you find underwater. Royal peppers alone, when eaten, give you a warmth buff. They can also be crafted into stuffed peppers. These give you and your teammates a damage boost. Lastly, you can also make them into a soup, which I will show on screen. If you are attacked, you release a little fire nova, like a little fire AoE around you that does damage. As for the Lamogi, I'll quickly show them on screen here. The way you get them is by going to the arcade machine. Whilst there, you have to kill the Bigogi, which are the giant Lamogi. And doing so, they can drop corrupted Lamogi data, which you can combine with a blank printer cartridge to create a Lamogi on the digital garden plot. These Lamogi can then be evolved in two ways. One is by crafting it into Sir Ogi, which requires the materials you can see on screen here. He seems to be slower than the others, but also quite a bit tankier. Bear in mind that the video I'm showing of the different Lamogi have different levels, which is why it might not necessarily look like he has more health, but he definitely does. The regular Lamogi seems to be not as fast as one of the evolutions, but slower than the other, but also I think his tankiness will be in between. Next is Speed Ogi. He seems to be a lot faster than the other two. I can't tell 100% because of the fact that he's a higher level than the others, but I'm assuming his health will be either in between the other two or it will be lower than the base Lamogi. Either way, he is very fast, so it makes up for it. I don't know if there's any additional abilities. When he was attacking, I couldn't see anything particularly happening, so let me know in the comments if there is anything I've missed about the Lamogi. Next up is a new craftable advanced oven. So the way this differs from a regular oven is just the fact that you have two slots on there, and it also has a timer on the side so you can see how long it will take to cook. Other than that, not very different, but I guess it is more space efficient, and also the quality of life of being able to see how long it will take is also rather nice. Next is the test dummy. There's also a test target. I'll show both. They essentially work the same way. I think one's just designed more for ranged weapons than the other is. You have the single hit mode, which will show you how much damage you're doing with a single slash. The second mode is total damage, which is just showing you how much damage in total you've done to the dummy. And the third is damage over time. So you can sort of test your weapons now and figure out which ones are stronger if you didn't already know. And it's just a nice quality of life feature all around. Another craftable is the Assistant Botanist. It essentially just works as an XP boost when placed near growing plots. When these crops then grow, you will get increased XP compared to normal. However, I do not know if it should actually be placed near the plots or near you. I think it might be a AoE buff, which means if you're nowhere near him you won't get the XP boost. So actually it might be better placing it in a part of the base that you're regularly standing at, especially if, like me, your growth plot is a little bit further away from the main part of the base, because I think it only applies when you're near him by the looks of things. Grayson now also has a bunch of construction signs which he can trade you for. It will increase how much XP you gain for construction, similar to the Botanist. Test plushie can now be found in Residence. I should have some gameplay on the screen now of where it is. It's in Abe's room essentially, and it is a new collectible. You can also pet him. Right, on to pet changes. So the main new things are the Lamogi, which I touched on earlier, and another new evolution is to the skink. There is now a verdant skink. He has mushrooms growing on his back like the peccary, which you can harvest every now and then, but the cool thing that makes him quite unique and actually very useful is the fact that his projectiles are also radiation like the regular skink, so you refuel using radioactive waste. However, in this case, he's actually a healing pet, so he can shoot you and heal you quite significantly, honestly, and it also works with other pets and your allies. You can also use them as a weapon, and in that case, it does the same thing. You can charge it up as well, and it will create little healing clouds. The healing is kind of insane, so I'm surprised it is as strong as it is, but it is very cool, and also enables like a new playstyle of you being a healer for your friends, which is really nice, and I think it's a welcome change all around. As you can also see, I'm not going to go over it in detail, but there seems to be some changes to how the pets track things, which should help with their navigation. Other scientists will now be able to see when you pet the pet. Pets can now be revived even if they have a harvestable resource node ready, aka I'm assuming that means the things like the mushrooms on their back. A couple other changes, such as the bedside manner first aid perk now works on pets. Essentially, it just lets you see negative debuffs that are on your pet. I won't go over all of the scientist customization changes, however there are some new ID cards, hairstyles and outfits, some of which can be located throughout the facility, so there'll be more stuff to find and collect. Onto the perks. There is a new sprinting perk, anaerobic recovery, which allows your stamina regen to kick in much quicker after sprinting. Next up, centrifugal force. It allows your heavy melee weapon swings to be a lot faster than they previously were, which is really good because I don't know about other people, but I feel like I never would use the heavy weapons because of how slow they were, and now there might be more incentive to do so once you're a bit further in the strength tree. They have moved Nerd Rage to level 10 from level 12, so now you get it sooner. They've also moved Heavy Armor Specialization from level 15 to level 13, and that's both strength perks. There's a new reloading perk called Ammo Scavenger. When you search soldiers, I can't say soldiers. When you search soldiers, you sometimes find more ammo. I'm really struggling to say that. It's for some reason a tongue twister to me. Another perk is Riposte in Fortitude. When you successfully block an attack, your next melee attack within 2 seconds does extra damage. And Enduring Stamina is another new perk in Fortitude. This one allows you to regenerate stamina while blocking. New crafting perk that will buff right out. When you repair an item, there is a 50% chance that you will repair it for free. New construction perk, lift with your legs. Deployable furniture now weighs 40% less in your inventory, which is really nice for carrying stuff around or moving your base. And also experimental fortification. You can over-repair turrets, traps and furniture for 115% durability, essentially just increasing the max HP of objects that you repair. Raised with care in construction has now been moved from level 10 to level 8. There's also a new cooking perk called Kitchen Technician. This just allows you to craft the new oven. The throwing perk Projectile Predictor has now been improved and will display a much more accurate trajectory as seen here. It does seem a lot better than it was before, because I feel like before it was nowhere near where you could actually aim. So that's a really great change, and this also applies to sharp weapons that you are throwing as well. A few bug fixes as you can see on the screen. Pause to read if you need to. Next is the general gameplay changes. Again, pause if you need to see them. I don't think there's anything too crazy here, so we're just going to skip this section. Combat and balance changes, once again, pause if you need to read. Nothing too crazy. I think the main thing is it looks like Lamogis, if they raid your base, can now be killed by weapons rather than just jumping on them. I think this is to make it so that if you have traps to defend your base, they will actually work. Quality of life improvements, another new object, the garden trail. This allows you to dig up seeds on your garden plots rather than destroying them, which is really nice because sometimes if you want to move your base or move stuff around your base, you have to then find the seeds again. In my case, I did it with the fear grenades, and now I'm having to get like 10 more of that essence from the Reaper, so that's not fun. Another great change linked to that is that garden plots that get packaged with anything planted in them will now drop the seed to replant it. It will also drop the harvestable item if it was fully grown. Deployed items such as pies, cookies, soups, etc. can now be repackaged and picked up and then placed down again. Pause to read the rest if you wish to do so. And there's a lot of changes around Dunkel Tala Forest, aka the crossover with Voice of the Void. I just think it's to do with like spawning of certain entities and also some other things, such as being able to see the layout while sitting, but again, nothing too crazy here, so just pause if you wish to. Grayson now gives more ammo when trading him, which makes him a little bit more useful than NPC all round, combined with the changes mentioned earlier. Next up is the anniversary cake, which can be crafted with 2 eggs, 6 wheat, 2 slushies, and 6 apples. Eating the cake gives you the buff Healthy-ish Bite. It was 30 health every 0.5 seconds for a total of 180 health, which is actually really good. Soups also now reflect the colour of the soup, so they look a bit different when they're placed down, which is another nice change. Apparently some new things to distill in chemistry. Exor quills now drop more regularly from Exors. The needle on the Geiger counter now apparently moves when you use it. Next up are new wristwatches. So the first is the employee locator watch. Essentially it just makes the employee locator item no longer a trinket and a watch, which is actually much better, I think. So whenever you push T to deploy the watch, you'll be able to see both NPCs through walls, as well as other scientists if you're playing a multiplayer, and your pets. Can be quite useful for progressing the story if you're newer to the game, as you can see where NPCs are that you might not have found otherwise. Next, the Geiger watch. Again, kind of self-explanatory, but essentially it's the Geiger counter, but instead of a trinket, it's a watch. So if you push T, you can see your radiation levels. I think in default gameplay, it's not that useful. However, if you was doing a challenge run with the invisible radiation, then that could be a cool item to use. Lastly is the communication watch, which is essentially just a walkie-talkie, which enables you to have a walkie-talkie without having to waste one of your hotbar slots. The hauling watch now has fun little floating Q particles that appear while viewing the watch. The cone of light from the hologram projector of the decoy watch now turns off when the watch is not being reviewed. On deployable changes, vehicle changes, and sandbox changes, please pause to read if you would like to. Lastly, we have animation changes, audio and visual effect changes, and localization and text changes. Again, nothing too crazy, but if you wish to read it, please pause and do so. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you think I've missed anything, and I can add it down in the comments or the description. I plan to post more Abiotic Factor videos, as well as maybe other survival games or popular games, so please, if you enjoyed watching today or found anything useful, then subscribe and like the video. It would mean a lot to me, and I would massively appreciate it. Thanks again, and have a great day.